If this lands with you even a little, if you've ever been the not quite good enough one at your own family table, hit like only if it feels true. And subscribe if you want more stories that end with the quiet people getting the last word. And hey, drop your city and local time if you've ever been the family disappointment. You're not alone. 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, my mother called and told me I wasn't invited, not because the house was too crowded, not because the turkey was too small, because my sister's new boyfriend, Luca, came from a prominent family, and apparently my job would send the wrong message. I'm a public school librarian. My mother said librarian like it tasted like dust. You know what I mean, she added. Sophia is dealing with CEOs, donors, people who matter. 5 days after that dinner, my parents showed up at my apartment, pale and shaking, demanding to know what I'd done. Because Luca, Mr. Generational Money, had stumbled onto a truth that would crack my sister's polished life like glass, in front of 500 witnesses. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My name is Maya Collins. I'm 32. I live in a rent-controlled studio in San Francisco that smells like eucalyptus after the rain and floor polish the rest of the time. My salary covers books, bus fare, and black coffee. I can catalogue a classroom in under an hour and quiet a room with a look. It's my superpower. My sister, Sophia, is the opposite of quiet. Marketing director for a boutique image architecture firm in LA. She rents a glass box condo above the city lights, where the parking spot costs more than my entire monthly paycheck. She speaks fluent donor. She collects handbags like limited edition art. Our family Facebook shows Sophia giving speeches, Sophia shaking hands, Sophia standing in front of banners with other people's names. I'm in 3 photos total, 2 with birthday cakes, 1 cropped. Some people stay small by choice, my mum once told a neighbour, thinking I couldn't hear. Maya's sweet, but she doesn't have ambition. I have a secret. For 2 years, since the week my grandmother died, I've been sitting on a truth so large it changes the temperature of any room it enters. Grandma Evelyn raised us more than anyone else did. She called money a loud magnifier. She believed kindness should be seen in the dark. And she built something, bit by patient bit, that no one in my family knew about. No one except me. October, family Zoom. Sophia's hair was perfect, the backdrop carefully staged. I want you to meet someone, she purred. Luca Davenport, Davenport Global, the Davenport Foundation. She stretched the vowels like taffy. My mother breathed, oh, the kind of oh that tastes like gold leaf. Thanksgiving, Sophia announced. The perfect time to introduce him. I need everything elevated. Her eyes slid to me like a knife. 2 weeks earlier, I'd been at a storage unit signing a receipt for a sealed archival case, my name typed below successor trustee, the Evelyn Collins Trust. But on Zoom, I nodded and smiled like a quiet wallpaper pattern. Of course, I said. Sounds elevated. The call came 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, exactly. We've had to adjust the guest list, my mum said, brittle and bright. You understand, Maya? It's optics. Luca's world is curated. My job embarrasses you, I said. Say the words so they're real. It's not personal, she hissed. You talk about overdue books and story time. What would you even discuss with Luca's people? First grade reading levels? In the background, I heard Sophia laughing. Not at anything, just at being seen. I said, I understand, because I did. Because Grandma Evelyn taught me to keep my face still when someone tried to rearrange your value. Then I rolled my chair to the closet, turned the key on a small safe, and took out a folder labelled EC/Succession Protocol, Public Phase. On the inside pocket, in my grandmother's spiky script, money reveals, patience protects, quiet wins. Here's what nobody knew. Evelyn Collins, retired city clerk, widow, coupon cutter, wore the same wool coat for 20 winters. Also built a quiet, stealth philanthropic engine. She invested small and early. She bought a 4-unit on a street nobody wanted and held it. She reinvested. She read at night, margins full of notes, and over 40 years, she grew a fund that quietly lifted libraries, food banks, and teachers. The Evelyn Collins Trust held $38 million in assets, plus 3 properties. The board existed, but the chair seat was anonymous. 2 weeks after her funeral, the trust attorney, Richard Hale, called me in. "She made you successor trustee and board chair," he said calmly, "but with conditions." She wanted to measure character without giving the test away. There was a clause. There were several, but one in particular mattered. If any family member deliberately excludes another based on job, income, or perceived status, they forfeit any and all claims to the trust and properties immediately upon documentation. Grandma recorded a message 6 months before she died, on video, in the presence of 2 witnesses and a doctor. She wanted her voice, not just her signature. I kept it all quiet for 2 years, because she asked me to, because sometimes the softest step breaks the loudest habit. On the trust calendar, Winter Benefit Gala, November 30th, 7:30 p.m, D. Young Museum. 500 guests, press confirmed. I was scheduled to speak. I emailed the coordinator. "Please add 5 Collins family invitations, deliver to me," and then I waited. Thanksgiving Day, drizzle against my window. I ate dumplings from a cardboard box and watched my sister's Instagram story like it was a foreign film. New china, crystal, orchids. The caption, "Grateful for a family that understands what really matters." She angled her wrist toward a bracelet that could pay my rent for a year. Luca hovered beside her, handsome and a little stiff, smiling with his mouth but not his eyes. In the background, the chair at the end of the table sat empty. My friend texted, "Why aren't you there?" "Scheduling conflict," I wrote back. "On Thanksgiving?" I muted my phone. My fortune cookie said, "Patience harvests what pride plants." I stuck it in my wallet beside the gala pass. At 9 p.m, an unknown number called. "Miss Collins, this is Luca Davenport. We need to talk 5 days later, 7:05 a.m. Sharp, someone pounded on my door like they were trying to crack the building. My parents shoved past me without waiting to be invited. First time they'd ever seen my apartment. "What did you do?" my mum demanded. "What did you tell Luca?" "I haven't spoken to Luca," I said, which was technically true. Luca had spoken. I had listened. "He broke up with Sophia yesterday," my dad said, face flushed. "At brunch." "In public." "That sounds public," I said, pouring coffee. "He walked into an office," Mum spat, "and there was your portrait. Chair of the board. Your name on a donor wall. How could you hide this?" "Like you hid uninviting me," I said, "except mine had a purpose." "Fix this," Dad snapped, banker voice loaded and useless. "Call whoever you need to call. Step down. You're not equipped for—" He waved a hand at all of it. "This." "No," I said. "Your sister's future is her responsibility," I said. "But if you want the full story, come to the gala." Bring Sophia. They stared at the thick invitations I pressed into their hands like they were hot or holy. Then they left. 3 hours later, Sophia showed up at my library during afternoon pickup, eyeliner smudged and jaw set. "You ruined my life," she said, not caring that parents were watching. "You were jealous." "You told Luca lies." "I didn't tell him anything," I said. "He found the truth." "You'll step down," she hissed, "or I'll contest the will." Grandma was sick. "You manipulated." "Don't," I said softly. "Don't rewrite the parts you chose to skip." $2 million, she blurted, tax-free. "Just walk away." "I have something for you," I said. "A seat tomorrow night. Come, listen." She left a trail of expensive perfume and confusion. That evening, Luca called again. His voice was careful, the kind of careful that arrives after learning something heavy. "Sophia told me you were unstable," he said. "She said your family excludes you to keep things calm. She said you lived off your grandmother." That's a lot of words, I said. When I saw your name at the trust, he continued, I realized I didn't know the truth. I wanted to see who you were without Sophia's captions. Come to the gala, I said. You'll hear Evelyn's voice. Then decide the De Young Museum glittered that night. Glass, steel, people who float when they walk. I wore a navy dress I borrowed from my neighbour and a pin shaped like a tiny open book. The most expensive thing on me was ink, a tiny willow sprig on my wrist for Grandma Evelyn, who loved trees that bend without breaking. Donors I'd only ever known from anonymised reports came up one by one, telling me how Evelyn's little checks had carried them through tight months. A teacher with a voice like a lullaby. A food pantry director who remembered the exact day the rent doubled. A city college dean who said Evelyn's scholarship kept the night nursing program alive. Across the room, my parents arrived like they were bracing against weather. Sophia made an entrance in red, all angles and shine, and placed herself where cameras could see the banner. The MC called dinner. I'd placed Sophia at table 1, dead centre, with the best view of the screen. My parents on either side. Luca at table 2 with his board. We ate quietly. Sophia barely touched her fillet. She stood before dessert and tapped her glass. Friends, she said, voice smooth as a press release. As Evelyn Collins's granddaughter, I'm thrilled to share that I'll be stepping into a leadership role here, partnering with Davenport Global to scale our mission. Tonight is the beginning of a new era. Luca stood jaw tight. Sophia, he said, that's not... Oh, Luca, she trilled, always so modest. Ms. Collins, the MC said, eyes wide, this wasn't... Let her speak, I said, walking to the podium. All of it needs air. Sophia pointed at me, hand shaking. She's a librarian, she said, like it was an accusation. She lives in a shoebox. She knows nothing about real philanthropy. I raised the remote and clicked. The screen behind me filled with Evelyn's face, her silver bob, her eyes that missed nothing. Date stamp, 6 months before she died. Attorney Hale on one side, a physician on the other, a retired judge behind them. If you're watching this, Evelyn said, it means something ugly has happened, and I refuse to leave room for confusion. The room went still. My estate and the trust I built come attached to one non-negotiable, she continued. No one who chooses status over dignity will inherit a cent. If you exclude your own kin for their honest work, for not earning enough, for not shining the way you shine, you lose your place. That's not punishment, that's alignment. On the split screen, screenshots appeared, my mother's text. We're keeping it small. Image matters, Sophia's DM. She's a librarian. Please don't ruin this with pity points. Her story, grateful for a family that understands what really matters. I respect librarians, Evelyn said on the video, voice steady. They taught me the language of money when I had none. They taught me to read contracts like prayers. If you think a blue-collar job makes you superior to the one doing it, you don't understand the point of money. My mother tried to stand, then sat down again like her knees forgot how. The judge on screen added, I'm present to confirm capacity and intent. The physician nodded. Attorney Hale stamped the date with a seal. As of today, Evelyn continued, if any exclusion has occurred, the primary beneficiary is out. The successor trustee, Maya, assumes full control. If there's a fight, there's a letter. Don't make me open it, I clicked. Evelyn's face froze mid-blink. Attorney Hale joined me at the podium, opened a leather folio, and read 3 lines that fell like stones. By her own publicly documented words, Ms. Sophia Collins is disqualified from any share of the estate, he said. By written admission and corroborated messaging, Mr. and Mrs. Collins are likewise removed as trustees. The cameras, oh, there were cameras, caught Sophia's mouth forming a perfect O. Someone in the back said, wow, too loud. Sophia lunged for the stage. Security moved without touching her, like polite magnets. She grabbed a champagne flute and threw it at the screen. It shattered and fell harmlessly. "You planned this," she screamed. "You manipulated a dying woman. I visited her every Sunday for 2 years," I said, microphone soft and clean. "You went once." "For 12 minutes, you don't understand the world I live in," she spat. "I understand it just fine," I said. "I just don't mistake it for the whole world." Luca stood, his voice carried. "Davenport Global is withdrawing from all announced initiatives involving Ms. Collins's firm." Effective immediately, a murmur spread like wind through dry grass. 2 other donors stood and followed suit, quietly, decisively. I took a breath I felt in my feet. "For clarity," I said. "I didn't want this money then. I don't want it now. I wanted my family at a table where everyone's hands were clean." I clicked again. A slide, the Open Door Initiative. "Tonight," I said, "I'm pledging the entire personal inheritance, 15 million, back to the trust to launch the Open Door Initiative. Emergency grants for essential workers, housing stipends for educators and nurses, and zero paperwork supply funds for public school classrooms. The 3 properties will convert to affordable units for teachers and social workers within the year." It started as a ripple, then the room stood. Not for me, for the people who never get to be the center of a ballroom. I turned to my sister. "Sophia," I said gently, "you may volunteer with us 20 hours a week. Field work, no cameras. If you want to learn what Grandma actually built, that's where it lives." She trembled, then stared at the floor, the way you look when the words you've relied on stop working. I lifted a small sealed envelope, the one labeled in Evelyn's hand. "Open only if you must." "Don't," Sophia whispered, voice cracked open. I slid it back into the folio. "Then we're done for tonight," I said. By morning, headlines were calling it the Thanksgiving snub that cost millions. It was mean and messy and a little bit deserved. Sophia's firm lost clients. She deleted her socials. My parents went quiet. A week later, they came to my apartment. My dad didn't look like a banker. He looked like someone who finally measured something honestly and didn't love the number. "We failed you," he said. "We failed both of you." "We thought success was proof of goodness," my mum added quietly. "We stopped checking." "I'm willing to try," I said, "but therapy isn't optional. Boundaries aren't punishment." They nodded. We started. It was awkward. It was real. It was slow. Luca asked to meet for coffee, not romance. He was careful to define that. We talked about the kind of money that builds doors instead of walls. The kind that lets a librarian keep her job because she wants it, not because she's trapped in it. The Open Door Initiative funded 400 emergency grants its first week. Boxes of school supplies became a river. We restored 3 library branches. One of them put a plaque up with Evelyn's name and a willow leaf etched beside it. I traced it with my finger and cried in the stacks. 3 months later, a magazine called me something dramatic I didn't recognize and photographed me on a reading rug surrounded by kids. I wore the same navy dress. The caption read, "She still works the desk on Tuesdays." That part made me smile. Sophia moved to Denver and took a job at a food bank, $36,000 a year. The director, who, small world, was an old friend of Evelyn's, emailed me updates I didn't ask for and was secretly thankful to receive. "She's learning," the director wrote. "She listens more every week." 6 months in, an envelope arrived in purple ink. Sophia's childhood favorite. "Maya," it read, "I used to believe Grandma chose wrong. That you stole something that belonged to me. I think I've been living in a mirror, always checking my reflection and never noticing the room. Yesterday, a woman cried because we handed her groceries without asking for proof she was poor. I think I finally understand what Grandma meant. Dignity isn't a trophy, it's an atmosphere. I'm sorry for the air I made you breathe. No request for forgiveness, no spin, just air." I slid the letter into a folder labeled Why This Matters. Inside were crayon drawings, photocopied thank yous, the first rent check stub from a teacher who moved into the old Collins house. Sometimes I still think about the empty chair at the end of my parents' Thanksgiving table. I used to picture myself sitting there, grateful for crumbs. Now I picture a different table, longer, louder, more elbows, easier laughter, less crystal, more mugs, the kind where no one has to perform to belong, where librarians aren't decorative, where money opens doors and then holds them. If you've been told you're small, here's my unasked for advice. Small is what seeds look like. Pride will always call seedlings weeds. Your job doesn't certify,